What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Broku, and today's video is my underrated characters in Black Clover, and basically why I like them. So I picked 5 separate characters. Basically what I'm doing here is, I'm not allowing any of the Black Bulls on this list, because you could easily say that a lot of them are underrated, just because they don't get enough time, because they're a part of the Black Bulls, but they're not main characters. But I think it's better just to, I guess, broaden and go out and find other characters that are not Black Bulls and that are still underrated. So that's what this list is. So if you say, oh, Luck should have been on this list, blah, 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 I'm not including Black Bulls. I'm doing anybody who isn't a Black Bull and somebody who I think is underrated. So there's going to be multiple reasons. This could be for power. This could be for just how good of a character they are. And so the first character I'm going to start off with is Kirsch Vermilion. Now, at first, I did not like this character. I thought he was annoying, and I thought his magic just was not very cool. But then once we got him more expanded upon throughout the series, well, first he already went through his own mini arc of just hating commoners and peasants, thinking they're ugly. Then, you know, kind of progressing past that, and he's more of like on the mimosa side of a royal. Sure, she's a royalty, and you know, she is noble in that sense, but she is also not going to look down on people, especially if they're working hard. Or he isn't, because Kirsch is more like Mimosa now, and how he acts as a royal. He is a good royal, I would say. And when it comes to power, now in the tournament, you know, he was a vice captain, but it really, in my opinion, nothing of what he did in that tournament really impressed me very well. His magic was interesting, but it wasn't that impressive. But then we get into the elf arc, and we get to see Kirsch really go off, and there's a point where he's taking on 3 Golden Dawn elves at a one time. Now, the elves will always get downplayed by people for some reason, even though we know that each elf is individually many times stronger than the person they take over. There's so many different statements and proof for this, like when Ghosh became an elf, they said he was a world stronger. Yami said that Charlotte was way stronger than Charlotte. And so we have 3 Golden Dawn members that are all many times stronger because they're elves, and he is just depressing their senses so they couldn't sense him with his rose petal magic. So in terms of creating a character arc and power, he's underrated in both terms. He has a good character arc, starting from a really snobby royal to a really cool royal, and then his power is underrated because, I mean, these are senior Golden Dawn elves, so they should be somewhat strong because they're elves that are taking over Golden Dawn members. And with that being said, he is depressing their senses, and it's pretty easy for him. Now, in terms of combat, he doesn't seem to be that great of a combat mage. It's like, seems more so to be a really good support mage, or just in the battle to depress and repress the enemy's mana sensing abilities. Up next is Fonzel Kruger, and he is just downplayed in terms of power. I think he's a fairly okay character, if not a good character. We just haven't really seen enough of him. He was in the light novel, and then that was expanded upon in the anime, and then we got to see him in the Witch's Forest arc. He's cool, a diamond commander who left the Diamond Kingdom to get with his witch wife. He then actually also helps Asta, because Asta helped him. So he helps Asta get his arms back by infiltrating the Witch's Force, which puts him and his entire being at risk. He just wants to be on the down low with his wife. Though people seem to forget that Fonzel was a commander of the Diamond Army, whether that's a high-ranking guy, I would assume so. He was not only a commander, but an instructor. I think it's logical to assume that if a general is like a captain level, that a commander would likely be vice captain level. If not, he's really close. And in terms of rank, whatever, but in terms of power, it shows he's close to a diamond general level, because he was fighting Mars and Ladros for a bit at the same time, and then Mars joined to his side. So he was fighting generals that were above the generals that attacked Titan, and doing quite well. Now, was he stronger than Ladros? No. But still, he was taking on an entire diamond army by himself. I mean, Fonzel is definitely underrated in terms of power. Now, next up is Kevin. This is the Elven Compass Mage, otherwise known as her human form, Letoli, however you pronounce it. But she gets downplayed all the time, despite completely jobbering Nozel, a captain. And when she did that, she wasn't at full power. Remember her Great Compass spell? That was weaker when it was doing that against Nozel. And then when they defeated her because Noelle overflowed it, she made an even stronger one. So a non-full power Kevin was destroying Noelle. Basically, anybody who is within her compass, any of her attacks are going to hit her no matter what, and any attack directed her, it's going to be redirected with her compass, and then also all their mana is being disturbed. Like, it's a very broken spell. She used this to just also go against a Dark Disciple and do quite well, even in her human form. But Kevin is really the one that should be, she's downplayed the most, way more than Letali. I mean, guys, look what she did to Noelle. I don't care if Noelle had to basically try and keep his siblings alive. She was also not even going close to full power. Her other spell, I believe it's called Another Atlas or whatever, when she was using full power was much bigger than the one she was against Noelle, showing that she was not using close to full power against him. Up next is one of my favorites, and I think he is very underrated. That's Leopold Vermilion. If you just look at what he's done in the beginning, sure, he was, I guess, comparable to base Asta, but I do like his character. I think it's underrated because he has two crazy great siblings, Mereoleona and Fuegoleon. Mereoleona, who is just a boss, and then Fuegoleon, who was a boss, and then got the Fire Spirit, and he wants to compete with them and surpass them, yet he doesn't have the Fire Spirit, and he actually has less mana than Fuegoleon and Mereoleona, so he's at a huge disadvantage, but he still wants to push through. And he likes making rivals with people, probably because he wants to push himself further, because if he makes rivals with everybody, it's just going to keep pushing him further and further. That's why he deemed Yuno as a rival. That's why he deemed Asta as a rival so quickly. And again, he's a good royal in the sense that he doesn't really look down on people in that way. He's always wanted to train to get stronger. So that's why I like Leopold. I think he's very underrated in terms of his character. And I think he has a lot to work on in the future. Not like that he has a lot to work on, but I think a lot's going to be built up upon on him in the future of the series, in the sense that by the end of the series, it might be a big four, I would say, with Asta, Noelle, Yuno, and Leopold. I wouldn't be surprised if they are the big four, and they just grow up throughout the course of the series. Now, in terms of power, again, he's underrated, because he was doing decent against an Elven Vice Captain. He went against Randall, who got turned into an elf. He was a vice captain before. Now again, at first he was fighting alongside his entire squad against Randall, but there came a point where Leopold was about to break his limits. He dodged an attack. He also nearly hit Randall, and then he also countered an attack from Randall, showing that he has relative power and speed to an Elven vice captain, which is very impressive, and yet he's still a very underrated character when it comes to power, because people really don't grant him that. Now, after 6 months of training, he and Luck completely dismantled a Spade base. Now, there was nobody that was above a stage 2, so it's really, I guess, not that impressive. I'm sure that he was already very close to stage 1, since Randall would have been a stage 1, if not stage 0. But overall, I do really like Leopold. I think he's underrated both in character and power, but that's completely fine, because I think he's going to get a lot of moments to shine in this arc and in the future of the series. Now finally, one of my favorite characters is also underrated, and I have to give that to Ladros. I thought that in terms of both power and character, he was underrated. It made sense that he was both have to be this sort of villain, and it's kind of cool because he does see similarities with himself and Asta. Asta doesn't have magic, whereas Ladros didn't have a magic type. He just had magic. And he is basically a combination of just natural inborn luck, hard work, and science. Because, one, he's born with a lot of mana. Hard work, he has high physical strength, and he has really good reinforcement magic, as stated by Fonzel. And then 3, the science experiment. He has a magic type gifted into him, which is absorption and emission, and then he also has magic gems in his body that amplify his magic power. So he's just a big combination of his hard work, his inborn natural talents, and science within Black Clover. And so it makes sense why he wants to progress himself through and become powerful, even if it is a tyrannical way like he kind of wanted. I mean, he started from the bottom. He didn't get a magic type, and he was bullied for it, and he felt out of place. But he does become a good guy, in a sense, where at the end of the Witch's Forest arc, his magic gem in his forehead is broken, and those magic gems were affecting the mind of the people they were on. So his mind was negatively affected by that, and therefore he might not have been really that evil it's almost like in the Patri sense that the forbidden magic made them more aggressive and a bit more evil than they really were, and therefore it's not even truly them, they're being manipulated. That's what Ladros was going through, and he wants to help Mars do what Mars was going to do, which was rebel against the Diamond Kingdom. So in terms of that as a character, I think Ladros is really cool. His magic was cool, he was powerful, and he could absorb things, and I think his design of once he absorbed the fire spirit looks really cool. I just love that. And when it comes to power, he's also severely underrated. For some reason, people think he's weaker than the third eye, which is kind of hilarious because just in terms of how shonen typically work, the next villain is generally going to be stronger than the previous one. Well, guys, Ladros takes place after Veto and Fauna, and just in terms of how Ladros is built up, he's a Diamond General, right? Diamond General is basically captain. He takes on a different Diamond General plus a vice captain and Fonzel and Mars 2-on-1 and is doing pretty much just fine against them. And then he absorbs the fire spirit. Now, this important statement from Fauna is that, it's from Fonzel, is that his power surpasses the spirit. It's a power that no human can emit. This is a Fonzel who has sensed the power of self-destruct Fauna, and yet he thinks Spirit Ladros is stronger. So, Spirit Ladros, he's much stronger than Fauna and Veto, and that is just, shown by him absorbing the fire spirit, and then also him being so fast that Asta could not even react to the attacks. He could not defend against them, whereas when he fought Veto, he could do somewhat good against them, and this is a much stronger Asta than the one that fought Veto. So, yes, in terms of both character and power, Ladros is pretty heavily underrated, and I do really want to see him return soon. Hopefully, him and Mars will be going off on the Spade Kingdom in a future chapter or something like that. I would love to see how maybe they progress as characters, how they progress their powers, and how well their rebellion has been going. But with that being said, these are the 5 underrated characters in Black Clover, in my opinion. Let me know your thoughts down below. Give me your 5 underrated characters. But with that being said, hope you guys did enjoy. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Hope you guys all have an amazing day. Plus...